Mm. Ooh. Okie dokie. What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Sorry. Hello, everyone. Hello. United versus Spurs. I'm actually only going to be streaming until Man United starts playing because I'm going to go watch the football with my friends. Because I'm a hashtag lad. So what I'm going to do is quickly look at RRQ and Gen G and kind of contextualize their vetoes and see what the map pools are. And then I'm going to watch one map. I'll watch one map, and then tomorrow I've got a pretty busy day, but I'll try to watch some more tomorrow. But I do have a busy day tomorrow. I'm gonna try and do my best to keep it consistent. I know that I've been really enjoying the streams, and I enjoy that people have been kind of paying attention more and tuning in more. But I am a pretty busy person at the moment, so also trying to prioritize having some fun and not always working, which is a struggle for me. What are these ads? These ads are because I don't have any respect for you as a person, and I want your money. Right. So quickly, let me just see. I want to just see what their map pools are looking like because I've not really been paying attention too much to APAC apart from paperwork stuff. So right off the bat, we see Gen G struggling on Ascent. Good at Lotus, decent at Pro, decent at Haven. Okay, so Ascent's their weak map. So going into the finals, Gen G had 2 bans. RRQ, oh, they still won Ascent? Jesus, that's big. Okay, so RRQ, and what about Gen G's side? Oh, so this is Gen G. Oh, RRQ won Ascent, of course, okay. Gen G's map pool looking generally quite good, so RRQ has done a very good job of taking this series, to be honest. Beating them on Icebox, beating them on Ascent. So why did RRQ, why did Gen G struggle when RRQ probably shouldn't have posed this much of a threat? Just looking at the results of RRQ's map pool. I mean, I guess RRQ was so decent. Suddenly winning on an Icebox is a big thing here, after being kind of shit. The map ban not favoring them with the Pearl ban, I guess, too. Ah, that's rough. This is the worst map veto in a best of 5 I think I've ever seen. Like, Gen G are banning 2 maps in which RRQ are kind of shit. Like, Fracture, RRQ are not good at. And then Pearl, RRQ are not that great at either. So this is, like, on Platchat today, we're talking about how Fanatics map ban versus Heretics absolutely had a huge advantage for them into that grand final. This map ban against RRQ does almost nothing for Gen G. Gen G are worse at both maps. They might be, but like, they might be worse at both maps, but they're not as bad on those. How do I explain it? The difference between Gen G and RRQ on these two maps is nowhere near as big as the difference between Fnatic and Heretics, the maps that Fnatic got to ban. So to me, a narrative would be that Gen G didn't have a great map pool matchup against RRQ and it couldn't abuse the veto advantage they had. It's a sea of red. I think this is more respectable than you'd suspect. Like, Paperworks were pretty dominant in this game, and this comp is just way better than like these comps down here. I guess RQ here did destroy them before. But this is kickoff. Like, to still be your map pool not changing from kickoff is a little bit strange. Anyway, let's watch the first map and see how we go. Haven. One thing immediately that struck me about Gen G, because we talked about this before, was that I really love, like, I don't love it in this meta necessarily, this composition, but what I'm gonna love is Gen G's Haven at Toronto. If they continue with this Viper, I really love Viper on this map, especially with Teo gone from the mix. 1 sec, mate. But one thing I didn't like was the use of Killjoy, right? So Killjoy on this map on defense has now been nerfed to the point where you can't do that old good turret. So if we look at this turret, if you look at this turret, it used to be used here, right? And the turret would be able to see into garage, and it would be able to see here. And the nice position of that turret meant that you couldn't spam it through the doors easily. Whereas now, Gen G are going to end up using a turret like this. My question to chat last time is, how do you beat a turret like this? And the answer pretty much was, you come here and you just break it every round. But Gen G do that a lot in their game, and RRQ do not punish that for some reason in the VOD when I skipped through it last time. So that's something to look out for, is, you know, the Killjoy usage and lack of maybe preparation or lack of like anti.
Barriers about to drop. RQ here on the attack to start. Gen G coming into this obviously with the ban advantage. Elected to get rid of Fracture.
Whenever someone comes into my chat and says something about me looking cute or something, which happens rarely, I just presume you're an old man pretending to be a woman. Like, I can't not think that way. Yeah, paid chatter, yeah. I don't really understand this Viper wall, to be honest with you. I think it's kind of ass. The Viper wall that I like is Loud's one across middle. or at least like walls across middle here. I know that Genji really like to use this wall, but I think this wall is also quite bad. The reason why I think this wall is bad is because it basically does what this orb does, but not as good in a way. Like this kind of draws like, if you compare the difference in this wall, you have to, you get like, you can sometimes get a little bit funky with middle walking down. You got protection on garage, you got protection after garage, and then you've also got protection here. Like you can draw circles around how much like value it's giving you across like one area of the map. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. This one gives you kind of 3, but it gives you 3 passive lines. Whereas you can see it's like aggressive, less aggressive, less aggressive, less aggressive, you know? Like it almost like works as like, you can like take a forward position and then fall back and then fall back and then fall back. And what that means is that the attack always has to then use utility through multiple points of the wall, you know? You look like that dude from that Freaky movie. What? Do you think part of Genji's Yuto choice is to just let Foxy 9 solo play C in his own comfort? Potentially, but I think that that's not going to win you trophies, and it didn't even win them domestically. So, I really, like, I don't know, like, I trust Solo, like, it's still Solo, right, on Genji? I trust Solo a lot as a coach. Like, when I watch Solo's teams play historically, I think that they have a lot of good shit worked out. I think that they're disrespecting. This to me is disrespectful. Like it's almost disrespectful. It's almost saying that your team is so shit, you're not even gonna bother watching our VODs and killing my turret. Like that's what I'm seeing here. I would feel personally offended almost if I saw this turret being used against my team. Solo, HSK, and Perry. I mean, yeah, they have a good coaching staff. I like their coaching staff.
It's kind of interesting. Some early spam there. Genji being really reactive on the map right now. Something RRQ was doing a lot in their last matchup just a couple days ago.
Yeah, I don't like this vibrable very much.
Drone here.
So drone into garage, and then a hit.
Onto Foxy 9. Paranoia to make sure he's clear. Texture up ahead.
Texture. This is the difference between Neon and Yoru, is that like Yoru can do this. Well, one of the differences is that Yoru can do this. Neon cannot do this. Like this is just like,
Alone here in this position, peeks in, finds
yeah,
one.
see, like you're dead. Yoru can do this whilst also being here at the same time. It's like that's why the Yoru is so good on defense and why I'm a bit confused by the Neon. Like what Neon's strong at is using the stun to take this space, but once the Neon has this space, it could just be re-cleared very easily.
But really Bolt not able to come out fast enough to keep himself alive, so Jemkin is able to collect a kill. Foxy 9 at the same time, however, finding another.
What I do love here though is this from Genji. This immediate push out onto middle. This to me, this is the kind of stuff where it's like #1 team in APAC kind of stuff, you know? This is like, we're going to a global event, we're not dumb kind of play. Like how many times I got to watch mediocre VCT teams play where they will immediately just run this way every single time. Like the difference I think between one of the key differences I think between teams that make global events and look good at global events and teams that look like mediocre teams that I don't bother VOD reviewing is if you draw a line across the map on defense and you say, do they rotate through CT, or do they ever actually push out and do stuff interesting? Like teams that are, to me, are boring to watch, are mediocre most of the time, are teams that literally just rotate through CT, i.e. just rotate horizontally between the map and just, you know, when the attack comes here, they've got their string rotation, you know? So like this player moves across one, this player moves across one, this player moves across one. Very boring, mostly not very interesting Valorant. To me, interesting Valorant is when teams actually consider the verticality of the maps and know how to push out and know how to do the flanks and stuff, you know? you know, on some maps it is better to do this most of the time. On some maps it is better to do this most of the time. The best teams know when to do both.
Able to collect the kill, boxing out at the same time. However,
I did not reach Radiant or yet? No. I'm not. I'm not making Radiant anytime soon. Immortal 3 will be on the cards. But Radiant will not be on the cards for a while.
We'll just find a timing there, crazy guy. Eyes set forward as Munchkin bounding around the corner, drawing.
Very nice, especially with what we're gonna find in the game. Every single one of those that they texture gets his, and it's pretty smooth.
Let me set an alarm, sorry, because I'm gonna not pay attention to it. Oh, I need to be right back 1 sec. I need to take a phone call quickly. I'm gonna quickly mute myself on OBS just in case you can hear my private conversation. I'll be right back 1 second. Sorry. Right, I'm sorry. I'm an important businessman these days, making business deals. Right. Okay, right, back to VOD. Back to VOD. So yeah, Genji, once again, so we're going to see, this is going to be the standard macro, I think, for Genji, in terms of like the setup. It's going to be Viper Wall, Killjoy Turret. Neon's going to be floating a lot, I'd imagine, around the map. I'd imagine we generally see... I've seen this a bit from like Heretics recently, is they've basically, this composition cannot get A main very easily. Like, we've got stun and salvos, neon stun and salvos, but it's not really guaranteed to take A main in the same way that you can kind of throw breach and like ISO and like Yoru at A main. Like one of the, again, the strength of Yoru is partly like you can commit more to the fight on A main and still be here immediately, and so you have that extra number. The breach can obviously do stuns and you can get aggressive. This comp has a neon stun, which is okay, but it's kind of very telegraphed. And so it will struggle to take the A main fight a lot of the time in a non-telegraphed way. So what Heretics started doing with their comp is playing more like Omen Sova, and then they would just play kind of around these lines, and then now Genji have the line of the Viper Wall to kind of fall behind 2. So maybe that's something they're going to do. But TLDR is going to be Viper Wall, Killjoy turret. Attack game plan should be to immediately break this Killjoy turret. And probably at the same time take A main for free. They should get this for free, and they want to take this out of the map immediately. They could do it through Garage, but they don't even need to. They can just come here and break it.
A good counter strat to the
What makes comps viable on different maps? You have to think about what the map is asking from you and what you want, and then if you're going to break away from the meta understandings of what the map needs or wants, you have to then have a solution for that. I.e., on Lotus, if you have a comp that does not fight for rubble and cannot win the rubble fight, what is your next step? Like, what are you going to gain from your comp that ruins? On this map, if you cannot ever win a main fights and like insert people deep and like do weird shenanigans, like what is your next steps and like what is the advantage of your comp, you know? It takes a lot of like just playing the game and experiencing it and like watching the game to like figure it out. I don't think many teams are very good at it. I think a lot of teams just copy stuff, and then some teams just kind of throw ideas at the wall and hope it sticks. I think the greatest teams are ones that have a very deep thought about these ideas, though.
On that peak, signs the back away. As now the push gets ready to come through. Munchkin once again just going to be backpedaling on, yet now sticking for the plant. Nothing to really dissuade. Jumps around the corner, shield raised, but Jemkin's still going to fall. Munchkin able to collect it to the end. Wall now.
Okay, BXX Classics. I mean, it's a pretty good eco round to go B because you're kind of guaranteeing a plant, and then you're just praying that your refresh util might be able to help with the post plant, but ultimately, you know, it's not going to work, is it? Okay, so this is the kind of style they're going to go for. So we're going to see a lot of the Teo Omen together. Just, you know, Teo allows you to re-drone A main for information. It's a very, like, the drone is very strong here. The Omen allows to play verticality on the boxes and just like shut down short, and then they can play behind the Viper Wall after. The Neon is fast at rotating across, so playing center map makes a lot of sense. And then of course we've got, you know, where's the Viper Orb going to be in this game? Is the Viper Orb going to be like, where is it? I wonder where he actually puts the Viper Orb.
It is texture ahead. Jemkin right behind him. Very terms up, warms in. He pays the price.
I've spent most of my life zooming in on mini-maps trying to find Viper Orbs. It's on C long. Okay, I would say it's a pretty inefficient use of the orb. Like I much prefer the setup where you have the orb here and the Viper Wall here. Again, I've explained this wall, but this orb is a pain in the ass to deal with for attack, because if you go this way, they could be here and here. If you come this way, then they can be like just, you know, in the smoke. They can be behind the smoke. You have to run through it. By the time that you wait for it to go down, they've got like 4 people here. Sometimes it's just a fucking pain. So I much prefer the loud orb than
so far, averaging a kill per round, which is crazy good.
Viper Orbs and solving tear rockets. Solving tear rockets. What do you mean? What's solving tear rockets?
RRQ though looking to get themselves on the board. Munchkin let's go ahead and reinforces the one lost weapon slot with a stinger.
Like finding. Oh, I see. Yeah, trying to find where salvos are on the minimap. Yeah.
Looks to get themselves into an advantageous position here in the anti-bone.
Wait, so they did kill the turret. Okay, cool. So RRQ do kill the turret. They do take A main. RRQ are doing exactly what I expected from a team right now. So I give them a tick. Giving them a tick.
We know what they're like with these Guardians. We know what they can do when they're on weaker buys. We saw it so much last year. Yes, a slightly different roster this
Usually now the next step is obviously to clear out the garage for the center util. So if we're able to, like, if by like a minute, like, this would be really fast, but like maybe 50 seconds, kill this turret, take A main, leave a guy, go in here, take this space. But if you've got like 50 seconds left after that, you've got the whole map at your disposal. At that point, you know, if you're Boaster, you're having a fucking field day.
Here, but still almost just as dangerous with those one-tap
What can you
weapons.
say about Liquid's coaching staff? I think they seem pretty good.
Bit of an exploration. Let's see if this is
You
gonna
know,
be
it's always pretty hard to
good
know
for
what coaching staff is doing fully, but like the structure of their team and the strats they have, the way they play Valorant, considering the roster on paper, I don't think is supposed to be doing as well as what it is right now. Kiko's turnaround as a player obviously helped a lot, but yeah, I can't say anything negative really.
He's going to look to try to hold the line versus the lion's share of RRQ players. Finds himself a second, looks for the third, can't quite make it happen.
Munchkin's literally just pushed up A main solo. This is some nonsense. This isn't real Valorant. What's that? What is that? Right, I'm focusing on the VOD right now. If you guys got questions, I'm only gonna answer like VOD related or Haven related questions right now. If you have questions that you want to ask me, you either wait another time or you can ask me on my Discord, okay? Okay, big bonus from Genji. All down to the fact that Munchkin's just sat in a corner. Would you want the insert on A to be deeper? Ideally, yes. But it's fine. Like it's fine for it to be here. If it's here and he sees people re-clearing, then he can call for a C split because it's likely to be a strong side on it.
Popping off early. Sure.
Do you think Teo will just be a straight swap back to the server for Genji comp? I think this comp should be a Yoru. And a Cypher. And a Sova. After the like before the nerf, it would be Teo. With the Yoru. But now it should be the Sova. After. So you get your flashes still from the Yoru. You get your flashes, but also just Yoru's strength on the map, in my opinion, is just stronger. The defensive qualities of Yoru pairs quite nicely with the Viper. I feel like the delay and stall that the Viper provides, and then the dynamic angles the Yoru can add. Like the Yoru can do stuff what the Neon was trying to do. It can just sit in corners and be a dick, and then TP away, and then there can be stall behind it. Like I've not had to like make a playbook for this comp that I'm looking at here, where I'm like suggesting, but I feel my stomach feels good about it. Is it bad that he held A long? Who? Like the player up here? Yes. This is a bad play. Like, it wasn't a great play. He got 2 kills, but it's not a good play. Why is it not a good play? Because one drone just clears him and kills him. RRQ messed up. I would assume Sova and Fade are interchangeable in the ideal comp post nerf. Oh, in my ideal comp, kind of. I just think Sova's generally a better agent.
I don't want to mess with that too much.
What can do Judas in this situation? What do you mean?
It's a rose that has many thorns for Genji. Everybody on this team can frag out. So you have to be so careful, and that's something that's been haunting RRQ. Sometimes
if you are going to push up this close and not be a TP agent, you generally want it to be like a crossfire or something. Oh, thank you, Sulon? I don't know how to say your name. I'm sorry.
This year where you just have to rely
Sulon.
to get those kills. You need some of these other players to step
Is that right? Thank you for the sub. I appreciate it a lot. Right, anyway, eco round.
You have to be so careful, and that's something that's been haunting RRQ sometimes this year. Where
yeah, and the other problem with like this, so now this setup is literally can just be broken through the door, which is a problem. Alarm bot. This isn't the worst setup ever. Like I can see the idea here. I think it works. It's just it's not that efficient in my opinion. Viper on Haven, how come? I mean, maybe go back in the VOD and hear me talk about Viper a little bit. I think Viper is very strong on this map. I think in the post-Teo nerf meta, I think a Viper Haven is probably close to the optimal, if not the optimal for Haven.
So gate crash
I guess
across.
Neon could kind of disrespect the Viper, but I still wouldn't be that scared, I don't
Shut
think.
down by Munchkin. Does suffer swinging. Guardian finding crazy guy now going to be taken
Who won the
down,
series?
and
RRQ won the
Velocity in
series.
garage. And they're just going to storm their way out onto the
Huh?
side.
Okay.
I think for Foxy 9, how huge this win would be. Never
Oh,
able
that's
to
a
find one
big.
before.
So
Despite being
Genji
under
just
X
literally throwing a full A main aggro with mid
Pushing forward,
crunch.
puts you off guard. The attention is
It's quite a nice
fast,
idea.
never pulls on.
We saw something similar from
I think
Team
for Foxy
Liquid
9,
in the
how
VOD before.
huge this win would be. Never able to find one before, despite being on DRX in the past.
It's kind of funny because Viper Killjoy comps usually don't do this kind of stuff, but with the Neon and the tail, I guess you can kind of catch people off. I don't think at Toronto teams should fall for that idea. Like, if I was like coaching Fnatic and Fnatic lost to that, I'd be very disappointed. Because like, it's so telegraphed, right? Like, once I've shown them this round, they shouldn't, you know, our A main defaulters should be worried about this flash now. If they see this flash, you just run away. On defense, would you keep Viper Orb or use it start of the round more? Okay, I think I've explained a couple of the setup I would use would be Viper Orb here, and then a wall that cuts across garage and middle. Something along those lines. I don't know the exact micro of it, but like something along something around here. The Viper Orb here, I like this orb a lot. It's okay, it's okay. Choo-choo. I think I have this thing where I just get I need to figure out a way that like when people ask me questions that I've already answered, is there a way to repeat it? Or like how do I do it, you know? I worry I repeat myself a lot. And it's almost like a weird thing. Like on stream, I guess you gotta repeat yourself a lot. I guess that's just normal.
But like you said earlier, Kilios, they've been getting shut down before they can even use
Sab commands. I mean, commands are good, but it's like in this specific instance, it's not like a commandable thing, is it?
He's the sole player over at Long A right now, and everybody's stacking up for a big C-site hit. Well, I was giving Foxy 9 a lot of flowers.
So I think Genji are just slightly too slow, I guess. Here.
To connect to break into sites, you know. But like you said earlier, Kilios, they've been getting shut down before they can even use or pop some of their utility. Genji's a step ahead of them. Clear the dart.
So just a little bit of conditioning on A.
He's the sole player over at Long A. Right?
Drags across the rotation, and then the drone is coming through. But my question is this going to be enough stall to get these two players in, and how are they going to deal with it? Like, this composition is not a fantastic retake composition, especially on the C side of the map. Like, they don't have breach, they don't have like ISO, they don't have a drone anymore. They don't have like Viper utility on this side of the map, really, that's going to be helpful for the retake. Like, the orb is decent. Is this orb enough? It is enough. They're in so quick. In so quick. Why did... Yeah. They're in quick. Okay, so Genji Sab's fine. I didn't realize it would be this quick.
A lot of it going to be cleared, but right, he's going to be grabbed up here by the kill contract. Will be dead even if he wins this fight, you would suspect. Will get taken down.
Is there any advantage of using Killjoy over Cypher on this map? The advantage of using Killjoy over Cypher on this map is the ult is better, and you're also praying that the opponent doesn't break your ult with the appropriate utility. And secondly, if they don't break your setups, like if you literally put your turret down in the middle of the open and they don't break it, that's an advantage. The stall the Viper provides with this Viper is pretty strong though. Like thinking about it, the Viper Orb with this Killjoy util is good stall, enough for them to run in. So I do think in this composition that the Killjoy pairs better, but Killjoy on the map specifically, I think is weaker, if that makes sense. To be honest with you, what I'm thinking about in my head is that like maybe Vice is just better because it pairs well with the Viper in terms of like the stall. The information is a bit rough sometimes, like it's a bit tough on the information side of things. Because obviously with Cypher you could just like trip trip, cam, and you have a lot of like information. So yeah. Like, I don't think the Cypher pairs as well with the Viper. So maybe I'm talking myself into a Vice angle. But again, I've not had to look at the deeper protocols or strategy of like these things as much. I kind of am enjoying that I haven't had to for a while. I just know the possibilities are there for some good stuff.
So, some things to consider.
Do you have any way to try to bail him out? The answer is realistically no. Jemkin finds a headshot there on a Foxy 9.
Why do you think Cypher over Killjoy in Euro Isocomp? Because Cypher is better on this map than Killjoy. Cypher is better on this map than Killjoy with the Killjoy nerf. Before the Killjoy nerf, when you have a composition that only has Sova as an initiator, having the Cypher helps because you have a cam for control and you have a you have cages to re-clear. If you don't have the Cypher, you're stuck without initiation tools, technically. The other thing is that defensively, the Cypher can play a bit more like floody, I guess. I don't know. Am I saying that right? Because with the Viper, the Killjoy kind of combines quite well, I feel like, to like stall. But without a Viper, I feel like the Cypher does a better job by themselves at stalling, I think, than the Killjoy. Why isn't Vice used more here? Okay, Vice isn't used more here because it's difficult to think about the information game on defense. I think that it's... When I watch G2, I think there's some very valid things in what they're doing with the Vice Thorns. Like, it does just make... It almost makes this map different. Like, the way I think about this map almost gets broken when I think about Vice, because it almost makes it worth not even playing many people on A, because you can flood into A with these Thorns. But that kind of flips the map theory on my head a little bit. The problem with Vice compared to like if we just put Cypher, right? You put a trip here, you can put a trip here, you put a camera here. Obviously, this isn't going to be the best setup ever, but if this trip gets broken, you know they can go B. If this trip gets broken, you can go B. This camera sees here and here. Like, there's a lot of information tools you have. With the Vice, like, the flash is technically an info tool, but I would argue that it's like not as good an info tool on defense as maybe the camera or the trips at times. So you're left with the wall, and the wall a lot of the time is going to be used for like, you know, in positions where it's a better trip in the sense that it actually helps you stop XX, but it's not like as much. You only have one of them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So you end up in a position where like you have kind of 2 tools compared to 3, and one of the tools isn't technically as good at some things. And then also putting this wall, like teams are hesitant to put this wall in spots like they're kind of like the Cypher, because you want to get value from like fucking up their XX and stuff. It's partly why the Vice Chamber stuff seems so interesting to me, because you can compensate the info a little bit with the Chamber trip, and then you can also do deeper walls, which make it more interesting to play like Chamber in front of deeper walls. I don't know on this map specifically what I'd do the wall with, but like you could do deeper walls and then have like deeper info lines, and then also have the Chamber playing deeper info lines, and so it's like inherently a more like aggressive information game.
That's a huge first find.
What makes a map easier to retake or a site? Like, the way you think about it is, this site is easy to retake because you have 2 choke points coming through, and the playable space for on the B site is a spammable wooden pillar that can be utiled, and corners with very little crossfire ability, no crossfires. So that's step 1. Step 2 is then the offsite post can be completely encircled. And you can take these fights at long range in a way that's fine. If you compare that to the A site, you have a window to jump out of that means that you can't shoot your gun, and you have one major choke point to deny. You can do flanks on this, and that's probably one of the best ways to retake is using those flanks. The problem with that is that they can be seen from far away, and if the opponent is good at knowing you're going to go for them, they can sit in tricky spots to make you hard clear you, and are often at an advantage when they do that.
To know from where the fast lane came from that's one of Texture's setups for the operator. So now they should know that he has that in play. For sure. Dimensional drift going to be called in. Charon unchecked, but wide where the fast lane came from.
Because they have to
Falling right here. Oh, Gem.
You do have the neural, or excuse me.
Oh, interesting. So Texture's trying to punish the team for breaking that turret. I thought he'd actually just swing and shoot them. Why is he not just swinging and shooting them?
No, Jemkin finds a headshot there on a Fox.
It's weird.
The falling right here at the front of the site. RRQ more than happy to go ahead and take that away.
Down for Foxy.
This too is nice from Genji. Is like, so if RRQ aren't gonna just take this at the start of the round, at least like having your Omen set up in a way that like he can just take the line and then he can just TP out when he wants to. Like I think that's reasonable. I think RRQ kind of messed up by not threatening this more. I don't like they got the Cypher to re-clear the space, but if I'm them with this comp, I wouldn't love the idea of having to use my drone to re-clear through or having to contact through. I think I just use my first cycle to take A main against. Like I think my general game plan against a team that cannot take A main very well would be to use all my first cycle util to take a main. And then we can use our drone to take garage or to exec.
Do have the neural, or excuse me, the dimensional drift for Monyet, so some things to consider.
Do you have any way to try to bail him out? The answer is realistically no. Jemkin finds a headshot there on a Foxy 9. Take that away.
To me, I don't really understand the obsession here with this line specifically. We know the Viper Orb is there. It felt like they were trying to pressure that quite hard. I mean, they got the pick, but I would, if I'm looking at C here, I'm looking at splitting because of this Viper Orb, to be honest with you. The garage control isn't that strong for Genji.
RRQ more than happy to go ahead and take that away.
That's a huge first find. That makes it a lot harder for Genji because they have to commit extra resources to the C side of the map.
And they should also know from where the fast lane came from that's one of Texture's setups for the operator. So now they should know that he has that in play. Dimensional drift going to be called in. Charon unchecked, but wide swung on by Jemkin. And he is going to get taken down. Two-player advantage now here for the side of RRQ. Ash alone on the site, waiting for some reinforcements, but going to be overwhelmed and surrounded very swiftly. Texture's bound his way.
Sorry,
towards this
getting distracted. When this game occurred, I don't know when this game occurred. How long ago was this game?
Quickly as he arrived.
Yeah, I feel like this should absolutely be a save. There's just not much left.
May 11th. It's occurred. Occurred. 10 days ago. Wait, what happened there? What happened this round? Why have I missed? Why am I not paying attention? Okay, so Karen went and played another stupid position. Yeah. Why are Genji obsessed with these stupid positions?
And he is going to get taken down. Two-player advantage now here for the side of RRQ.
Like, in the middle of nothing, just facing. So yeah. Can't win the round if you lose all of A because your player's in the middle of nothing.
Okay, the answer is no. Regarding Munchkin, but what a swing from Jemkin. That is nasty.
Have a good sleep, Farhar and Sant.
Did he stop?
I'd recommend, I'm gonna be gone in like 30 minutes, so, you know, you might need to find a longer video.
Timeout coming coming out of Jemkin in particular, but from the rest of the team as well. And 2 rounds in a row here for the side of RRQ. See just how far they can take this.
And now the bank accounts.
Why are we so obsessed with C long?
ISO ult missed.
Yeah.
C long against a Viper Orb seems like not the best idea. I know they just using the ISO ult to get a pick maybe, but still, it's a
little bit further back. Doesn't want to try to challenge that long.
The other thing about Yoru is the Yoru clone is such a good counter to the ISO ults. Like we see clones being used here now quite a lot, sometimes here. To stop this ult going off.
Out in the open, got bested previously.
For RRQ's comp on attack, how would you take map control like A space? Is the comp mainly just contacting and reclearing? I mean, it's just if you need to smoke, you'd use a smoke. If you want to, you can use a smoke, and then you just recon. So like if you're gonna smoke that side, you probably recon like down in sewers, and then you've taken it. To be honest with you, it's not that deep. Some teams might use their wall like here instead as like an idea. If you think that you need to be like, I think it gets, if you notice they got an operator, it's probably a good protocol to maybe be a bit more careful and make sure you're smoking stuff. If you're not against an operator, you don't have to smoke, I don't think, as much. So just recon, scale together. You can use the Yoru can kind of go a bit deeper into space and then just TP out, and then we can leave someone there or something. If you're losing the A fight on offense, what are your other avenues to default for space? If you're losing the fight, you have to answer the question, why are you losing the fight, right? So, oh shit, I've got so many tabs. If you're losing the fight on A, because the opponent has like 3 people here, let's say they have like 3 people here, just random agents kind of, then you don't default anymore. You just recognize the fact that they're playing 3A, and you can probably go C or go B. So you have to make the read. Are we losing it because they got too many numbers, and then we could just abuse this part of the map? Usually. If it's just the fact that like you're losing it to like, you know, kind of a bit more of a standard approach where they're just breach stunning in and then the operator's just farming you, then just defaulting C at the start of the rounds is the option. You could like you could leave a camera somewhere, maybe. Default, or you know, some teams don't usually use these cameras much, but default C, default garage, sorry, you go in, you break the turret, and then after that, step 2 is to come back here and to either drone out and clear, or just cage up and contact, maybe with the camera. So yeah.
That they need to tighten up a little bit.
Dark Horse teams in Toronto, Paper Rex. So once again, Texture in a kind of bad spot, but gets away with murder again. RRQ getting punished again. This should not happen. This should not happen. There's now been 2 or 3 or 4 rounds, I think, where Genji have done this and either been punished or just get away with murder.
Yeah, and feels like if you see Texture, don't go that way. But Foxy, nice kill.
Trying to get back to his anchoring ways. He's gonna tug forward.
I don't understand. Yeah, I'm a bit confused by this. Like, what is our obsession with? It's almost like a game plan where we're trying to go. We're now trying to fake A to walk into C, but once again walking into a Viper Orb. It feels like a very strange plan. Again, we just take A at the start. If we really want to, take Garage and then reclear A. And then we want to be looking at going A, C splits, or B if we really want to. I would be advising this team to go A or C splits a lot of the time. I think retaking B, especially when they got a Viper wall, it feels like probably a little bit too easy. It doesn't really abuse the fact that like this comp's retakes are kind of poor, in my opinion. I would rather play a post plant from C or A against these players. This composition, sorry.
But Foxy, nice kill.
back to his anchoring ways. He's gonna tug forward into the poison orb. Turns out, swings, looks for Xparrow, cannot find it, but Munchkin catching a glimpse.
Yep. So RRQ not doing the best job so far. As Genji are doing some things that are bad, but not getting punished for them, and then RRQ kind of just walking into Genji's setups. What exactly is the idea between taking the space on A and then resetting hit another site? Like example, you're taking Garage and then getting going A. Okay, so what you're doing. Okay, so let me explain that a bit deeper. Why we're doing that? Because it's a good question. So why do we want to take this or take this? The answer pretty much is that it just draws the line on the map for defense differently and restricts information from them. So if we are able to take garage control, the line on the map becomes like this. Like if they have, so this is now defense space, right? So what that means is that they can't know what's happening on the map in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 choke points on the map. They have 6 choke points on the map they need to be careful of. They only have 5 players, and to deal with some of these choke points, you need multiple players to deal with them, right? So what that means is that now, without that information, if we had a Euro player, for instance, just making noise here, you're going to expect the defense to rotate across, and if we have control of this space, we're very close to being able to just immediately see exec, you know what I mean? So like you could, the more map control you have on attack, means the less information the defense has to work with, and the more space on the map that you could potentially use to quickly enter sites. Manipulating the rotations is easier because the defense doesn't have the information about where you are. So, you know, it's very scary for the defense to hear noise very close to you because you could be about to exec them. Good analysis, you should be a coach. Thank you very much. I thank you for that question though. I really thank you for that question because I think sometimes I skip that step in the analysis. And I need to learn how to explain that as simple as what I just did there, I think. I don't think I did the best job. I think I did an okay job. But especially for broadcast, if I'm able to explain what I just did simple enough, I think it would really help, you know, the casual viewer.
Maybe RRQ is going to try to dial up another fast hit over there. You know, like we saw after the timeout where they found success. Flash clear util. Foxy still in the window. Karan spotting out multiple.
All of this when you could just one-tap people. Again, I know it's just a meme what you're saying, but everything in Valorant to me is increasing your percentage chance of winning the round. Everything that I'm talking about is how do we just increase our percentages? I don't want to go into a game knowing that our only chances are 50-50. I want to push those fucking odds as high as possible. If we come out of the game losing, it's fine because we did the best we could to push the percentage chance as high as possible. We can get unlucky, that's fine. But as long as we're playing to the highest odds possible, I will be a happy coach.
Getting clustered up, drone sent over towards A to try to sell a bit of presence there. Karan looking for a timing. Slides down, they're lined up for him. Collects 2.
Right, even look at this. Like, look how little information like Genji have right now. So the line again has been drawn here, like I just said. So little information. Sova's droned out A main, and look at the reaction from Teo.
Try to sell a bit of presence there. Karan looking for a timing. Slide.
Like, I don't even know why this has happened. Is this a misclick? Isn't the core point of the game just killing enemies? Okay. Yes, Mayo. It is killing enemies. How do you... you cannot control the amount you kill enemies without talking about the stuff I'm talking about. Like, you're not going to be in a position to kill enemies just saying, oh, most of the game's killing enemies. Like, the percentage chance of you killing an enemy and then probably winning the round increases by doing all the stuff that I'm saying. There's no way they're not memeing. That's rage bait. I don't think, even if it is rage bait, I feel like there are a lot of people who think like that. See, like they're saying I'm not joking. I don't think that what they said is too stupid a question. Like you know, like I as a coach and as a player, like I said earlier when we were talking on Plat Chat, like there was a moment on Plat Chat where like we were discussing this retake that BBL had, where two people here, this guy here whiffed massively on a player. And my argument was that, like, okay, sure, maybe that was part of the reason they lost the round, but like coach perspective is that like I would never blame a player in that moment for whiffing. I don't care that they whiffed. They cannot control the fact they whiffed. Up until that point, they've been doing their aim training, they've been doing their death matches, they've been trying to play, they've been grinding. In that one moment they whiffed, I can't blame them for that. Like they fucked up, but like it happens, you know? You can't control that. Like it's just an instinct. Like it's almost like a biological instinct. Like your aim can be good sometimes, it can be shit sometimes. The difference though is that I think decision making isn't so, you know, attached to instincts in that same way. And I think that you can control those decisions a lot easier than you have more you have more like free will to or more autonomy to make better decisions than you can to control your aim. So everything to me in Valorant is about the autonomy you have over making good decisions when it comes to, like, you know, positional play or strategic thinking, rather than trying to think that you're going to just win aim duels, because you can't just make yourself win aim duels better. That's just not a thing. There is, of course, like if you're thinking really deeply about it, you might get to the point where you think that if you overthink this stuff I'm talking about, you might put your team in a position that like is complicating it too much. Sure, maybe, but everything I'm saying isn't that deep, and it would be a very, like, almost a bare minimum requirement for me to coach a team would be to understand a lot of the things I'm talking about.
What an adjustment here from Karan, though. Just loses that early battle.
Do you think all players of VCT think to get the highest win percentage, to win a round? They don't think in that framework necessarily. A lot of them, the way that VCT players mostly think is, am I in a position right now to win this duel? If they, in VCT, a lot of the times players will take duels if they are above 50% chance to win the duel. If they think that they're above 50% chance to win the duel, they will probably take the duel. Whereas I think that this is not a correct way to think. You should be taking duels only if the percentage chance of you winning the duel is higher than the current percentage chance of you winning the round. So, you know, if you're in a 5v4, the percentage, let's say the percentage chance of you winning a 5v4 is, say, 65% or something. Whereas what ends up happening sometimes is that you're 65% chance to win the round. But let's say that a player is about to take a duel that is 55% chance of winning. Player will often take the duel here because it's a higher number than 50%. But the problem I have there is that, like, they're technically losing 10% of value because the 5v4 was at a 65%. You see? This is the most common thing that I have to kind of work with new players in my team, is trying to make them understand that just because a duel might have been good for them, it wasn't good for the actual overall percentage chance of winning the round. I do not explain it in this way when I talk to them about it. I don't break it down like this. I'm a bit more human about it when I talk to players and try to make them see it in a slightly more human way. And this is the most bare minimum easy explanation of it, in terms of like 5v4s are kind of the biggest the easiest way to think about it. It gets a lot more complicated when you start thinking about your composition's win rate on certain sides of maps, or let's say the position you have on the map, or the time left in the round. Yeah, your position on the map, the time left in the round, the economy status of both teams. Like, there's a lot more that goes into this decision making than just are we in a 5v4. And that's why, again, I referenced this kind of framework when I was talking about Leo in that video, is that because I think Leo was very good at kind of looking at the clock, understanding the economy status, understanding where the ults are, understanding the positioning we have on the map, and kind of calculating like this, and kind of, you know, quickly just having like an intuitive sense for, okay, we're in a disadvantaged position right now. I think there's a better chance we win the round if we do this play, you know? Yeah.
Setting up some watch parties across Asia for it.
We love that. Love to see that.
Okay, anyway.
All right. No, there's that early spam.
Apologies for boring
I mean, I'm curious again if
maths
gonna try to put some
or
pressure towards window.
basic
With the early
statistics.
spam, trying to condition RRQ that they can't have that space, and that's why I assume Crazy Guy kind of holds.
I'm gonna have to go very soon too, so I'm sorry that I'm wasting a lot of time talking about other things. I hope it's at least a little bit interesting.
Revealed, and he doesn't clear the drone, but it's not a big deal.
Respotted.
Will Platoon be a good analyst for GE? Personally, I am always a little bit biased against content creators becoming analysts or coaches at that level, because it's almost like there's a good chance that, you know, the type of thinking required for content is obviously is often not the same required knowledge for coaching a VCT team. But the difference here is that I don't know Platoon at all on that level. So I can't really comment specifically about what his role will be or his strengths or weaknesses as a coach. I think that there is often a greater chance that someone in that position is going to get a job more often because they have that background. So on average, it might not be as good a move in general. Platoon specifically, I can't talk for. I do think that there are a lot of content creators, and this is nothing against Platoon, because again, I don't really know him very well. I don't know his content that well. I enjoyed talking with him. I think that there is this general. I think there is a bit of a gap sometimes between, you know, the content analysis and then the actual VCT, you know, analysis at times. I don't think it's huge. But yeah, I'd almost be interested to see how the content analysis would work in general in VCT and vice versa. Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, in Fnatic, like I really like the fact that we often scouted people from like tier 2 and stuff, and like rookies, and the way that I would do a lot of scouting for even like coaches was like almost like moneyballing. So like with Anders, I noticed that he was working with a very, you know, I'll be real, like quite a low level team at the time, like tier 2, tier 3. And his team was doing a lot more. He was finding a lot more success with that team than maybe he should have. And so he proved, like, to me, the tangibles results that he had as a coach were like really important to me. And then that obviously led into conversations with him that were about the game and stuff, and I could figure out that he's actually also knows what he's talking about. So yeah, I think that if I was like a GM for a team, I'd obviously consider people who were doing content for those positions. But I think there's so many like diamonds in the rough when it comes to people who spend all of their energy on thinking about the game from a non-content related POV, that like I'd be looking for those people. It's very hard to gauge who those people are unless you have a background like me. And so it's like, I guess, difficult. But I think that's one of the strengths I had with Fnatic, is like I was able to be someone who could support that side of things because I know the game so well, if that makes sense. I have no hate about content creators at all. I think it's, I don't know how to explain it, but like I think that I do find at times a bit of a struggle. They also got MC. I'm not talking about MC. I think MC is a great coach and will probably have a lot of impact. We're talking specifically about the idea of content creators as coaches. Like again, nothing against anyone specifically or anything. It's just I'm talking from the heart about the idea. If I was a GM on a team, what kind of coach would I be looking for? How would I be scouting these people out? You know, his data stuff is solid. Okay, like if he's joining the team as like a data kind of guy, I like that seems, you know, like that seems like it's easier for me to say that he'd succeed in that role because data is a very different ball game, and the data he provided in the videos that I saw about Leo seemed tight, you know what I mean? Heard you talking shit. Yeah, I said that MCE couldn't even carry your ass in fucking Maryland University or whatever the fuck your uni's called. So how the fuck he's gonna? No, I'm joking. Like, no, MCE should do well. I'm excited to see MCE. Yeah, no content. Yeah, I guess what I get at times is like sometimes I think the analysis is rough, right? Because even my ego is bigger than maybe like to the point where like if some of the coaches made content, I'd be like, what the fuck are they talking about at times? Like I can when I watch the Valorant, like when I've watched this game already, this is like, you know, these are the top 2 teams in APAC, right? And half of this VOD I've spent dissecting why I don't think the Killjoy is being played correctly, why maybe this isn't the best pick. You know, the Viper wall setup isn't even optimal. And we're talking about top 2 APAC, you know what I mean? Like, so, you know, what happens below top 2 APAC with like the coaching staff and stuff and with all these ideas, you know what I mean? Like, there would be a lot to criticize. And so if those people make content, I'd probably say the same shit. So maybe it's not that big a deal. But I do think there are enough like diamonds in the rough out there that probably don't get seen. The value doesn't get seen as much. I think there's a lot of head coaches that don't really, their vision on the game doesn't allow them to choose the best people to work with sometimes. Again, that's not related to GE at all. Because Elevated seems interesting, actually. Elevated to me seems... Because wasn't Elevated like content, right? He was content guy, turned into... To me, he's got... I'll be very interested to track how he does. Because I think he's one of the most like... very serious approach to coaching. And has like... I think he really wants to prove, you know? Prove that stuff. So I think he'll be a good litmus test to see how well content kind of analysis would maybe pivot to VCT coaching. How about TMV? I don't know. Like, I'm not speaking about specific people really, and I don't really know. Okay, let me frame it this way. The last time I've watched anything YouTube analysis related would have been like 2023 probably. I don't... 2 or 3 years ago, I probably would like maybe 3 years ago or 4. When I started coaching, I cared a lot more about YouTube content and like general feedback about like Fnatic and Summon FC because like it was new to me and it was kind of really cool to see people making content about us, right? Nowadays, I've realized that it's like a trap where you end up kind of, if they say nice things about you, you think, oh my god, I'm sick. And if they say bad things about you, say, what the fuck are they talking about? So I ended up just avoiding the trap of even like caring. And then back then, a lot of the content was, I don't think, good enough that I should care a lot of the time. nowadays it'd be interesting for me to go and actually look at. I thought about a segment where like I almost content cop it, where it's like I get someone's recent video up and I literally sit there and sit through it and say what I agree or disagree with or something, almost like a react kind of vibe, but specifically with analysis. Like I think that could be kind of interesting. What Echoes, watch me. That would be a quite a good one because I feel like you'd be able to take it. Whereas like I'd be worried a little bit doing it with like, even if I was to do it with like Sideshow TMV, it's like it would be kind of like awkward on some level, but like I think it would be fine. Yeah, maybe that's something I'll look into. Like, I don't want to just like shit on people though, but there might be times where I'm like, this video to me just it really doesn't hit, and I just don't agree with it. You know, I quite like on Plat Chat. There's times where like Sideshow has a POV and like I have a POV, and it does seem like a genuine discussion and like, you know, just different frame of references. Like that is the thing that I like the most about when I discuss things publicly in that way. Like I think that's kind of fun, and I think I rarely get to do that. Like, yeah, I think Sean and Imi on Plat Chat had a bit of a tense back and forth, but I don't think it even needs to be tense. You know, like I think it can be yeah, pretty good. No one just used to do CS:GO POV reviews. Bro, if Valorant gets replays and POVs, I'm gonna fucking farm. The idea of me sitting here watching one player play Valorant, like, would be great. Sean owned Imi. I actually agreed with Imi's take. I'm not gonna lie. I think Imi's take was kind of correct, but I don't really understand what Sean was trying to say because Sean almost admitted at the end that he agreed with the B main thing on Split, so I don't really understand. It echoes. It was something very specific about Sen versus G2. Imi said that Sen didn't take B main on Split on defense enough, and Shaw's response was yes, but G2 have the Teo breach, and like they're gonna be able to fuck you out of B main. And Imi was like, yes, but you need them to use that util so that like they actually use it for something that doesn't make sense. You tax that util and then you escape B main, and then Sean pretty much like later on kind of agreed, but I was a bit confused with the actual summary of it, to be honest. Yeah.
Entrance. If he gets this orb, it's gonna be dimensional drift online. So likely gonna try to play for this one. Xferal, they're strafing. Forward.
But I think Sean was making a point that I just didn't quite understand, so I maybe there was more to it. Maybe it was like the point that was like, well, if you play for B main, G2 are so good at just instantly killing you if you try and take it, that like you're gonna get punished for it or something, maybe? I'm not sure. I think that it'd be interesting for me and Sean to have some chats, because I think yeah. Even Sliggy on stream would kind of be interesting too. Because me and Sliggy disagree about quite a few things when we're like just having casual chats about stuff.
We'll just be looking to hold on to this Phantom.
Yeah, those are those explosive entries you're looking for.
And I know I remember Sean saying what he thinks he did. I think he said on stream once in reaction to Sliggy being in an interview. He was like, I think when at GCC, me and Sliggy were streaming and like Yinsu interviewed us for broadcast, and like Sliggy was flaming like a vice or something, and then like Sean, I think Sean said on his stream like, something along those lines of like, I think I never agree with Sliggy about anything in this game. You come to bait me and take every opposite stance and rage bait you, and then I just hit you with the times two and humble you. What's the biggest Valor related argument you have with Sliggy? I don't really get into like I don't care enough. Like it doesn't make sense for us to argue. You know what I mean? Like we don't care like enough to argue about stuff. If we worked in a team together, there definitely would be arguments, I think. The biggest argument.
These Phantoms and a Vandal. Weapon advantage here for the set of RRQ. In the 7 and 5.
I'm not sure.
Rescuing the half, considering how
Have I watched much of Cushy? No, I'm sorry. How do you feel about player comfort versus optimal comps? I had a huge discussion about this yesterday, or this morning, or whenever the fuck I streamed last. On the scale of comfort to optimal, I land on the optimal side of it quite heavily, with this being optimal. Like, I can't think of many examples. If I was to go back through Fnatic VODs, sorry, I'm really distracting the stream completely. Like, how many times in Fnatic did we play something just because it was, like, comfort for someone? Like, really? Like... Like... Pretty optimal? I think nowadays we would change this. Like, but this was our, like, optimal at the time. Like, it's difficult because there are comps that are very good, like, to the point where, like, sometimes, like, some of these comps were literally, like, maybe they're, like, very slightly worse than a different comp, but the comfort of, like, having a Raze player as a Raze player and a Euro that's a Euro player could push it over the edge. So it's like, when I talk about optimal, it's more like, I think about it in terms of, like, there will be a few optimal ideas, you know? Like, often there's going to be a couple of optimal ideas, and you just want to make sure you're hitting one of them. If we're playing for comfort, it's like you're running Jet in a Euro meta. When it's like, you know what I mean? Like, Euro is going to be in all these comps, but the Jet ain't. So, like, the way I think about it is, it's not like... There are a couple, like, I'd say there's, like, a few comps I'd be like, oh, this is, like, it's almost like, how many S+ comps can we play? And I'm always going to shoot for the S+ comps, if that makes sense. I mean, some of the comps we had were nonsense, to be honest with you, but
At the same time, Texture does manage to evacuate, but down to 46.
what was the thought process between the Alpha Clove and Bind? The thought process was we had qualified to Shanghai or Champs or whatever it was. I think Champs. And I basically said that Leo had just recently left our team in terms of, like, being able to play. And we were having a problem where Hero was our initiator player at the time, and Alpha was our Sentinel player. And in order for us to win Champs, I thought that we would have to get a lot more value from Alpha. Like, Alpha was going to have to put the team on his back a little bit. And so I had this weird idea that if we just created, like, a new role almost for him, where it was literally just the fragging role, where he literally played... he was originally going to play ISO as much as we could, but then we realized that the ISO nerf meant that it was probably not the best idea. And then we're looking at, like, double, like, him playing, like, Raze, ISO. And then I just had this weird thought that maybe we could just try it. We were kind of sucking at Bind a little bit. And I was like, what if we just put him on Clove and just see how it felt? It was a seeding game. It didn't matter. I didn't think it would have much legs, and it didn't. It was just one of those little weird ideas where I was like, well, is there this weird world where, like, Alpha is just actually able to play these, like, weird, just, like, dual, like, ranked roles, essentially? Could he try and win us a trophy playing ranked, basically?
Munchkin still with just the stinger. As if that's going to be the grab of the orb. They're looking to try to spray him out. Texture finds it, the ult now. A non-factor here in the round.
Is esports worth it? If you're asking me if I would go back in time and not do esports, the answer would be no. If you're asking if the average person should try to become an esports pro, the answer is no. I am in a very different position in my career than most people who try to be coaches. I'm very fortunate, and I'm very lucky, and I'm very fortunate. But I'm also kind of the skill sets I had, I think, work quite nicely for my job, and I luckily got them to integrate into the things we're doing, and lucky that they just so happen to work quite well in Valorant. And lucky that we're able to join Fnatic, lucky that we're able to pick up certain players, lucky that we're able to just, you know, Boaster was able to like develop as a good IGL. It was a lot of luck, a lot of hard work, but a lot of luck.
Planted across the map. The quick pivot, they're not gonna get the angles here. Xfero's not gonna be able to find him quite just yet, but as long as the
Bro, there's another 50-year-old man in my chat.
Hold on to the site.
Haran just got
Gonna be able to find value as Moniet here in front of Plat. Mo's down 2.
Basically, when Alpha split the meteor roll, essentially, yeah.
Forward into the smoke. Xfero closer and closer, finds the first, the shorty drawn out.
Okay, right. I've messed up, guys. We've watched one half, and I've yapped through most of it. I'm gonna have to go because I'm gonna go watch football. I'm gonna go hang with my friends. I've had a very busy last couple of days. I appreciate everyone for coming. I apologize that it's a short stream. I'm gonna be going out for some food tomorrow, and then I got a fairly busy afternoon with some stuff I need to do. But I'm hoping I can come back in the evening and finish off this whole VOD and be locked in. But I appreciate you all for coming for the hour and a half-ish we had. United or Spurs? I'll be supporting United, I think, because I used to support them when I was a kid. And my friend will probably be supporting United. So, unfortunately, you know, United. Yeah. I'm not. It's not a big. A glory hunter. The United not been good for a long time, so I feel like it's fine, isn't it? Who should we raid? Who should we raid? Is there anyone I can quickly raid? Quick, before everyone disappears. I feel weird raiding someone I don't know. One sec. Who's that? Is Minnie streaming? Minnie? I'll raid Minnie. Minnie raids Minnie. Yeah, I'll raid Minnie. Okay. That's pretty good. Minnie's good at Valorant too, so go annoy him, okay? Right, I appreciate you all for coming. Be nice to Minnie too.
All blind. I'm in a window. Can't be in window.